Doe had always accused them. But Kurongba was very much liked by everyone because of what he stood for. I understand that they had hidden him for some time, and he eventually left, I think went to Sierra Leone and then on to the United States.
What was he doing in Sierra Leone?
I'm not sure, to be earnest. I'm in the United States now, and I guess he's trying to maneuver his way to get to where he's supposed to get to, because I think he was trying to get to the United States.
Eventually, let's just conclude the Kwiwompa chapter, please. What's the remaining history so far as Kwiwompa is concerned? Let's just concentrate on him for a moment.
Kurongba travels to the United States.
Were you in the United States at the time?
Yes. When he did get to the United States, I was there. By this time, I have been arrested. This is in...
We're coming back to that.
Yeah, okay.
But
I'm
let's
in the
just
United States.
concentrate on Kwiwompa.
I'm in the United States.
And what happens with Kwiwompa?
Kurongba is actually with these two Catholic fathers. I remember one of the name, Father Hayden, that Doe had.
Spelling?
I think it's Hayden, Father Hayden. And he is with them. And he's also in contact with another Liberian by the name of James Butte. He is presently chief, I think, correspondent for Africa that works for the Voice of America. They are together, and it is apparent that Kurongba begins to put his act together as to what he wanted to do back home in Liberia.
In what way was he putting his act together?
He began planning his move back to Liberia to remove Doe.
And what do you know about those plans?
Well, only what I was told. Doe had reached a point where even some of our best friends wanted him out. So Kurongba goes to America. He's with Father Hayden and the rest, and he's working along with certain agencies.
Which agencies?
Kurongba's movement is backed, I would say, by the United States government.
My question was very simple, Mr. Taylor. Which agencies?
Well, he is working with the CIA at the time to help him get back to Liberia.
And so where does he go after the United States?
Straight to Sierra Leone.
To do what?
To train, plan, and be armed for the invasion of Liberia.
And who's assisting him in doing that?
I would call his managers. Father Hayden, plus I do not know the immediate names of the handlers from this agency that I just mentioned, but I know he's with Hayden, and back in Sierra Leone, he's working directly with Dr. Henry B. Fambule.
And who's the president of Sierra Leone at the time?
He's General Joseph Momo.
And what actually takes place in Sierra Leone at that time when Kwiwompa goes there?
Kurongba goes to Sierra Leone, and all deals are made for the training.
Training of whom?
Of military people.
From where?
From Liberia.
To do what?
To overthrow the government of Liberia.
And where in Sierra Leone were they training?
They were training just outside of Freetown.
Who was training them?
The Sierra Leonean government used a gentleman by the name of Mohammed Doumbouya, who, and I'll spell that if I can, Doumbouya, there was a unit of the Sierra Leonean police, and I'm sure the Honorable Counsel here knows the SSD, Doumbouya that I know personally, was used and instructed to train the forces that were about to invade Liberia. So they were trained under the command of Doumbouya.
And then what happened after that?
They invaded. The arms were bought, were supplied by the president at the time.
So the arms were supplied by whom?
By the Sierra Leonean government.
Yes. To do what?
To invade Liberia.
For what purpose?
To seize power.
And overthrow whom?
Samuel Kanyando.
And so that's the Sierra Leonean government doing that?
That is correct.
In when?
This occurred, this initial attack occurred in, I think it's 1985, if I'm not wrong.
Can you help us with a month and day?
Oh, no, I just can't recall right now. I'm in the United States.
And help us, what progress did that make, that attempt?
General Kuruongpa, Thomas Kuruongpa, leads the operation into Liberia. They are, to a great extent, successful. They enter, they seize the radio station, everything, make broadcasts on the radio. But there was something funny that happened on their way in. And now this is a very important part of it because, again, that upset me because I am, in fact, Thomas did not listen anyway. But they go in on their way at the border. The commander of the unit that is leading the troops is killed at the border, not by Liberian government forces, but by one of the members of the invading force. Now, strangely, what was going on, it is believed, and I have heard nothing to the contrary to say that it is not true, that Kuruongpa had been used by certain progressives within the invading force. And let me clarify this for the judges. Kuruongpa arrives in Freetown. He has to recruit and train Liberians. So he has to draw this stock of Liberians from Liberia. And so he contacts almost every progressive. Amos Sawyer sent the famous journalist in Monrovia called Tom Kamara was there. The present chairman of the Election Commission in Liberia, Jimmy Flomoyen, was there. These are the Moja Marxist-Leninist individuals. Now, so Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was contacted. Burma Famule is there, so his people come. So what is happening now is that that conglomeration of individuals within the organization have their own agenda. And I want to be very clear about this. I'm saying that this is believed, but there's been nothing to the contrary to suggest that it is not true. Their objective was to use Kuruongpa to stage the coup, eliminate him, and Moja would take over the country. So the commander, a gentleman called Biah, B-I-A-H, Biah is killed on the border by a member of that group. So they get into Monrovia. The coup is successful. General Kuwamba goes to the radio station, not even knowing that his commander was killed at the border. Is left naked. Camp Shefflin, that has come up in the testimony, and the spelling is in the records here. Camp Shefflin, a military barracks just outside Monrovia on the Robertsville Highway, is where you have one of the strongest battalion, I think it's the 1st Battalion of the Armed Forces of Liberia, loyal to Doe, commanded by a Crown officer, and most of the people there are the Doe loyalists. Camp Shefflin has not surrendered to the new government. They forget about Shefflin. Secondly, Kuwamba assumes that men have gone to the executive mansion. Doe is still at the executive mansion. Nothing happens to him. So eventually, the soldiers from Camp Shefflin move into Monrovia with massive force. The Kuwamba people scatter. Kuwamba is sought, he is captured, he is killed, he is eaten by the Crown soldiers, and that is on the records, all over the records to that. And then the revenge mode sets in.
We'll come to the revenge mode a little later. But I'd like us to just pause for a moment and deal with a couple of spellings. Firstly, James Butty, B-U-T-T-Y. I'll have to wait for the others. But in any event, you'd mentioned that you yourself has left Liberia. Before we have the short adjournment, I wonder if you could assist us with this. Why did you leave Liberia?
I left Liberia when General Thomas Kuwamba said that he could not order the armed forces to move in because it would involve bloodshed, because he was sure that a certain segment of the armed forces that Doe had loyal to him, especially the Crown and other groups, would resist. There would be bloodshed. He did not want it. I knew that things would get bad after Doe returned from Europe, where he was visiting, and so I left out of fear.
Mr. Taylor, help us. Did you have any other difficulties at that time in terms of your role as head of the GSA?
None whatsoever. Had no difficulties up to that point, because when I left Liberia, I was now Deputy Minister of Commerce. I was not at the GSA when I left.
Before you left the GSA, had there been any questions asked about the propriety of your dealings in that role?
Oh, that is correct, yes. The new guy, Clarence Mamalu, that moves into the GSA begins what he calls a massive investigation as to what had occurred at the General Services Administration.
Yes. And what was the outcome of that?
Well, I really don't know the full outcome, because up until the time I left Liberia, he was still investigating. But what had arisen at the time, he was concerned about funds that had been paid 8 months before his arrival at the GSA for equipment for the government of Liberia that had not arrived.
Now help us. How many such allegations were made about you and your role as head of the GSA?
Well, as far as I know, the allegations came from Clarence Mamalu.
How many of them?
I know mainly of one for the payment of $900,000 to a firm in the United States.
And put in simple terms, what was being suggested about you?
Oh, he was trying to suggest that I had personally embezzled money,
How much?
$900,000.
Had you done that?
No, I had not.
When you left the Liberia, were those investigations still ongoing?
They were still ongoing.
Did that investigation have anything to do with your flight?
No, not at all, not at all. The payment in question had been made 8 months before I fled. No. It was very clear that had it not been for this military operation that Kurumpa failed on, and I'm using the word failed, I would have not probably left Liberia at that time, because quite frankly, I was sure that I would have been made Minister of Commerce. And the investigation would have been carried out, and they would have found out that all of the proper procedures had been used. And what do I mean by proper procedure? Orders were placed by the GSA. Payments were made through the Central Bank of Liberia. The vendor had received the money 8 months before this particular situation. So if there were any questions that would have been answered, it would have been by the vendor, who had not denied that he had received the money. So I had no problems with that.
Well, help us with this then, Mr. Taylor. If, as you're telling these judges, you were not guilty of any wrongdoing, what do you say was the motivation behind those allegations?
I know that Clarence Mamadou wanted to destroy me, and some of the other guys wanted to, but they would not have succeeded. It was purely to destroy Charles Taylor.
Why would they want to destroy Charles Taylor?
But don't let's forget that we're in this mood of what? This Congo man that is doing very well, who is so respected and loved by a lot of members of the council, we need to break Taylor. And that's what they wanted to do.
And was this being done with or without Doe's approval?
Quite frankly, I cannot say with any degree of certainty that this was done with Doe's approval. To be very fair to this gentleman, look, I know Samuel Doe. These allegations, if Doe was behind the allegations when they first came out, number one, he would have dismissed me from the GSA instantly. I believe that there were other individuals moving in there, because having been president myself, when the president is really behind something, really behind something, I mean, you would almost know. I mean, I don't think Doe easily could have said, oh, there are allegations, you are dismissed, and you will remain out of office until you answer to these allegations. But he did not even comment on it. The executive mansion did not do any releases on it. And so I would say that this was not of Doe's doing, no.
I'd like you to hold that thought, because I note the time, and I'm going on to another aspect of this, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Grievous. We'll take the short adjournment now and reconvene at 12 o'clock.
All rise.